The Honey Badger, mock drafts, Sean Gilbert, and a whole lot of Ram talk here on April 8th, 2022. I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView. Really good to be back. Combination of technical issues and lingering allergies. I'm still popping out coughs left and right, but it's really good to be back here talking Ram football. And I did a mock draft. And when I did that mock draft, I followed the Klosterman mode. And that meant I picked the best player available instead of necessarily just looking at the Ram needs. And you have to weigh that, what you need versus what's available and what's the best available. And it's always that game. Also, there's the cat and mouse of trying to figure out what Les Snead's going to do. The Rams have 5 picks in the 6th and 7th round, and we don't know what they're going to do with those picks. They could package a bunch of those together with the 5th and move up, or the 4th and move up. We don't know. So it's kind of a shot in the dark, but had fun with the mock draft. As I said, if you got a mock draft, please send it in. I'd love to talk about everyone's mock draft. It is probably one of my favorite times of the year and truly the most important for the Rams, the way the Rams do football in the offseason. It's not free agency. It's hitting on these draft picks that allow you to pinpoint what free agents you need at your price instead of out of desperation in their price. But talk right now, speaking of free agents, is Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, Mr. LSU. And I say, sure, why not? The Rams don't believe in Terrell Burgess. I'd kind of like to see more of him. Taylor Rapp's a catastrophe in coverage. Jordan Fuller's gotten banged up, and he's played well, so I'm good with him. But Nick Scott had a great January, February, but we'll see whether he can project that over the season. And Scott and Rapp are free agents at the end of this year. So, yeah, why not? Bring in the Honey Badger. But why now? And that's my question, is that, again, the point is wait. It's a buyer's market. The longer the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, like Jadeveon Clowney is a free agent, the cheaper they'll cost. And you don't know what's going to happen at minicamp. Cam Akers tore his Achilles last year. You don't know what's going to happen at a practice. Robert Woods tore his ACL. We don't know what's going to happen in a game. Jordan Fuller, Justin Holland's going down. We don't know what's going to happen in these moments. So it's best that you got the maneuverability under the cap, let it ride and see what you're going to do and what you're going to need. And again, the draft is coming up, and the Rams are going to address those issues. So keep that in mind. Looking forward, and I'll talk about my draft at the end of this next segment here. Drink of water from my championship coffee cup from loyal RamView watcher Matt Katikian, who happens to be a Raider fan. But one of the things I didn't get to yesterday was a pretty significant anniversary. If you're small and given over to small things like I am sometimes, I don't care what people think, because I hate the Cowboys, right? And right behind the Cowboys are the Saints. I can't stand the New Orleans Saints, right? I can't stand that, 10, 12, 13, 14 years after Katrina, all I hear about is so much what New Orleans has been through. No, I'm sick of it, that they should get a pass on everything. So I love it when their postseason stuff happens and they fail. The Minneapolis Miracle or something else takes place and they get burned in the playoffs. And on this day in 2017, the Rams signed a free agent cornerback who had played in Buffalo. He was there for 4 years. He was an undrafted free agent with the Bills. And he had also played at USC. His name was Nickell Robey-Coleman. And Nickell Robey-Coleman played 3 years with the Rams. He only picked off 3 passes here. He never was a full-time starter, only started 3 games. But he played in 47 of the team's 48 games between 2017 and 2019. Solid player, and when it was time for him to walk, he walked. But I'll make the argument, because of what he did to New Orleans, let's put him in the Ring of Honor when the Rams create a Ring of Honor. Yeah, that's how bitter I can be as a fan, because I loved what happened in New Orleans on January 20th, 2019. If you remember, it was Robey-Coleman who delivered the clean hit, wink, right, and cleanly defended, wink, wink, New Orleans Saints wide receiver Tommy Lee Lewis late in the NFC Championship game. That was that blast to the helmet with his back turned to the ball. If he had turned, he might have had a pick 6. But he blasted Lewis, and everyone's crying and whining. And you remember all the whining that it sued. It cost the Saints a Super Bowl bid and all that stuff. And poor put upon New Orleans was just hurt again in the postseason. But what everyone seems to forget is that after Robey-Coleman laid out Tommy Lee Lewis. The Saints still had the ball and kicked a go-ahead field goal with 1:41 to play, making it 23-20. They were up. So stop the Rams and go to the Super Bowl, right? Just stop the Rams at home and you go to the Super Bowl. Well, here's what ensues. The Rams get the ball back, and the much maligned Jared Goff, who, when you watch this game, and I guess if you go back and rewatch the 2018 season, there was something. I don't know what it was. The confidence level, whatever it was, just disappeared after 2018. It was there a little bit in 2019, and by 2020, of course, it was toast. But Goff comes out in that last drive for the Rams in the fourth quarter in that game, and he goes immediately to Reynolds downfield, Cooks downfield, Woods downfield, Gurley. And the next thing you know, the Rams are in field goal position, and Greg the Leg kicks Zerline, who just signed with the Jets, by the way, kicks a 48-yard field goal with 15 ticks left to put the Rams into OT. Now, again, okay, so New Orleans was ahead. They couldn't hold on to the lead. But guess what they do? They win the toss at home in overtime, right? And the way you hear everyone from Colin Cowherd to every other KBM, Kiss Butt Media, hear them cry out that it's not fair. Every team needs a fair shot. Folks, there's a reason you play 4 quarters before you go to overtime. And that's to win the game, right? To win it in regulation. And you're really just throwing a Hail Mary up sometimes when you go into overtime because you don't know what's going to happen. A player can slip. A PI could be called. Something bad can happen. Anything can happen, right? A kickoff could go out of bounds, and the next thing you know, someone's at the 45 or the 40. So why go into overtime? End it. Well, the Saints couldn't end it. So they win the toss, and that's supposed to guarantee a win, right? That's why the league changed the rules this offseason. They even get a pass interference call against the Rams and get to midfield. They lose 6 yards on a stupid running play. But then Breeze, he gets blitzed by Dante Fowler. God bless Dante Fowler. The ball comes out like a lame duck, and John Johnson, makes the grab, and the Rams take possession. Goff goes to Higbee twice on 2 excellent throws, and Greg the Leg boots a 57-yard field goal, and the Rams go to Super Bowl 53. Thank goodness for Nickell Robey-Coleman. And let's put him in the Ring of Honor because I'm bitter. I do. I hold on to grudges. And that means I never forgive the Cowboys and I never forgive the Saints. I just want them to lose in the bitterest, most awful way, even if it's unjust. Yeah, that's right. That's what I hope for. So putting Nickell Robey-Coleman on the Ring of Honor is just a big the big blankety blank to the New Orleans Saints. I love it. I think it's great. And what a great signing 3 years ago yesterday. Well, actually 5 years ago yesterday in 2017 by the Rams. Great job to Les Snead and the scouting committee. On this date in 1996, the Rams traded Sean Gilbert to the Washington Redskins. Yeah, I don't know who this team in Washington is now. Maybe they're the Washington Guardians. Oh, no, they're the Commanders, right? So Sean Gilbert, who had been the 3rd overall selection of the Rams when they were still in Anaheim, out of Pittsburgh. Did they get anybody else out of Pittsburgh in 2014? Did he get anyone else out of Pittsburgh in 2014? They got a guy named Aaron Donald, right? And so Sean Gilbert was the first guy they took out of Pittsburgh in 1992, 3rd overall. He played okay, made a Pro Bowl, the only Pro Bowl of his career. And he got traded in 96, on April 8th, 1996, to Washington for the 6th overall pick. How Rams general manager at the time, Steve Ortmeyer, got the 6th overall pick out of the Redskins for Sean Gilbert is unimaginable. How did that happen? And yet they got it. They got the pick. And, of course, they used the pick on Lawrence Phillips. They used the pick on Lawrence Phillips, and we know how that turned out. So kind of good and bad. And thank goodness we got the right defensive lineman in 2014 out of Pittsburgh because it really seemed like Sean Gilbert was going to be special. Had about a 10-sack season with the Rams, I think, in 93. And then just never really became anything after that. Never just kind of hit a wall. And the Rams got a 6th overall pick for him from the Redskins and took Lawrence Phillips. And that, of course, turned out to be a huge roll the dice and came up craps, right? So keep that in mind. Just wanted to throw that one out there. Sometimes I love looking back and revisiting some of the stuff in history and how it plays out and just seeing some of the threads and connections. Mock drafts are all over the place. The 7-round mock drafts are really popping up. I looked at 3 different ones on the web, and I'm seeing everything from from guard to edge to defensive end to well, defensive ends are edges, and such. And corners. Corners are really the ones that are going high in these mock drafts for the Rams. Josh Jobe, Alabama, was one. The one I'm seeing all over the place, and he is a Senior Bowl participant, Zion McCollum, out of Sam Houston State. And so he's popping up all over the place, and he's trending in the right direction. And so it's just really interesting, some of the names that just keep popping up. One name that just really is making the rounds is D'Angelo Malone. He's an edge rusher from Western Kentucky. He's someone to keep an eye on. I'm seeing him in the 4th. I'm seeing him in the 5th, repeatedly on different sites. And so those are a couple things to keep an eye on. And I'll post this. This will all be posted on joetarosian.com, and I'll post the link from there to get that stuff to get that out and spread around. And I only do it. I go, folks. It's not going to be perfect. I know it's not perfect. I'm not expecting it to be perfect, and you can mock me all you want, but I want yours. It'll be a lot of fun just to talk and see these things, and maybe we hit on a couple as we talk this mock draft and names that are being floated around. But I did my draft, and taking the 104th, 142nd, 175th, 211, 212, 218, 238, 253. That's where the Rams are picking. And again, very easily the Rams could package something someplace else and go up and get somebody they want. I think the inside linebacker spot gets a step back because of the fact that the Rams did sign Bobby Wagner. They have Ernest Jones. They tendered Traven Howard. And so if the Rams take somebody at the linebacker spot, it's going to go back. I think secondary is important. 2 free agents of the 4 safeties on the roster. David Long's going to be a free agent at the corner spot. And so I can see the Rams investing there. Obviously, when it comes to tackle and guard and center, the Rams are always going to be picking off players. And so what I did in my draft was, again, I did the Klosterman approach. Don Klosterman would take the best player available. Don't necessarily worry about position. And the great example of that, if you're a Ram historian, is you go back to the 74 draft. Rams had a first round pick, and they had just come off a season where they went 12-2, got lost to the Cowboys in the playoffs that year. And but they came back strong, right? And they come at Lawrence McCutcheon was a 1,000-yard rusher. Fullback Jim Bertelsen had his best year as a pro, 854 yards. They both were Pro Bowlers. And so what did the Rams spend their first-round pick on? John Cappelletti out of Penn State, Heisman Trophy winner. And within a year and a half, he was starting fullback for the Rams. And he gave the Rams some great clicks. He played really well and such. But they drafted out of strength. The Rams kept, drafting offensive linemen and just getting clicks out of offensive linemen. Dennis Hara, Doug France, Jackie Slater, all these guys were high-value picks by the Rams, 3rd round on up. And they were replacing the Charlie Cowens, the Joe Chabellis, the Tom Max, all these guys who all hung around at different times. This is just something the Rams have always been good at. And Don Klosterman was really good at, is taking the best athlete available, the best player available, as opposed to just drafting for a need. And here was the interesting thing about that too, instead of drafting for needs, is the first time the Rams took a quarterback in the first round after 1964, that was 1966 is kind of the common era of the draft. It's the start of the Super Bowl period. They drafted Bill Munson. And after Bill Munson, the Rams did not draft another quarterback in the first round until I think it was Sam Bradford. I have to go double check that, but I don't think they did. And don't tell me they didn't need quarterbacks during that phase. You went from Hadel to Harris to Harrison Jaworski to Jaworski and Hayden, and Harrison, Hayden, and Jaworski, to Namath and Hayden, to Hayden and Ferragamo, to Ferragamo to Burt Jones, right? Back to Ferragamo, to Jeff Kemp, to Dieter Brock, to Steve Bartkowski, to Jim Everett. The Rams just bounced around all over, like TJ Rubler, right? The Rams bounced to Tony Banks, Chris Miller, until they got to Kurt Warner, who was a free agent. The Rams just never drafted quarterbacks, and they could have used a quarterback in that 70s window, but they didn't. They took the best player available, and that's what the Rams look like they should be doing now. So when I did my draft, I tried to keep that mindset. I went after the best player who was trending in the right direction, who maybe appeared on some of our boards. And those boards that I've been posting on at joetarosian.com and from the Ram Cave, those are just a compilation of other mock drafts I've been following. None of those were mine. This one is mine. And so with all that said, this will be posted on my website and I'll share it. But guess who I came up with? The same name that's been popping up everywhere right now is cornerback Zion McCallum out of Sam Houston State. He's done a lot of slot work, which the Rams could use. And so yeah, and he's a Senior Bowl candidate. So yeah. I got Zion McCallum at number 104. At 142, a name that has not popped up on our boards, but looked like it was the best player available. Tackle Zach Tom out of Wake Forest. At 175, knowing the need for a safety, but not wanting to take one until it really popped earlier and popped at the right time. And so I went with Tyson Anderson, who's another slot guy who can play the slot. And McCollum at corner can't play boundary. I shouldn't say that, but Tyson Anderson played a lot of snaps at slot for Toledo last year. You could see the film, you could follow the stuff. I wasn't a big Toledo fan. You say Toledo, I say Jerry Akron, right? And stuff. So I say Jerry Faust, right? So so Tyson Anderson is the third pick in the 5th round, 175 overall. And then in the 6th round, again, because some of these are just drafting for depth, but again, not knowing what the Rams are going to do. Best player available was Ty Chandler. He's a halfback, about 6 foot, 204 out of North Carolina. Very good offense last year. It just adds a little depth to the running attack. It doesn't look like the Rams are going to bring back Sony Michel because he costs too much. And so you've got Akers and Henderson who will share duties, but both are very susceptible. And I don't know if Jake Funk's the guy, right? Jake Funk is like Chase Reynolds to me. Jake Funk is the guy that comes in and plays special teams. 212, Luke Wattenberg, a center out of Washington. At 218, because I kept ignoring this name because it kept popping up at the top of the list as best player available, but I just couldn't take him because I feel like the Rams are set at tight end with Tyler Higbee, Kendall Blanton, and Bryson Hopkins. But in the end, I couldn't resist it because he was the best player on the board, was Derek Deese. Derek Deese Jr., a tight end out of San Jose State. I did break down, even after the Rams signed Riley Dixon in the 7th round, I took Jordan Stout and so the punter. So I'm anticipating maybe a camp competition there between Stout and Dixon. And then, of course, the last pick, I did take a linebacker, but his name's John Ross. He's been steady. He's been a guy that's projecting highest in the 6th, basically a 7th rounder. He's a light linebacker, off-ball linebacker. He's a guy that you probably get a lot of clicks out of on the special teams. So just throwing that out there, fun to talk about. My name is Joe Tarosian. I am a sports writer and I'm a pastor. And I wrote a book called Tangent Dreams a few years ago that covered high school football. And it was a good read, got a lot of success. If you have any questions, please give me a call, check me out, and then ask me some questions. I'll be happy to talk about it. You can find all my books on Amazon. I don't do Patreon. And this is just how we do our business here. So awesome talking about the Rams. And if you have any questions, send me your mock drafts. Great. Hit like, subscribe, and we will talk to you soon. God bless. Take care.